بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه معززا فيه كما يحب ربنا سبحانه ويرضاه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله تعالى حق الجهاد حتى أتاه اليقين فصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful and he who bestows mercy, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Scholars of Islam have a great deal of discussion with regards to these two names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the difference, if there even is a difference between these two names according to what we understand and what we can comprehend? Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Both of these names in the Arabic language, and obviously when they are translated, if there's even possible, an equivalent is made in the English language, rendered into the English language, or French, or German, or Italian, or any other language, they seem exact. They seem synonymous. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the merciful, the merciful. Is there a difference between these two names? Is there a difference between these two attributes? Rahmah here and Rahmah there. Is there a difference? And if there is a difference, what is that difference? Some of the ulama of Islam, they have said, Rahman yani fi dunya, Rahim ay fil akhirah. That Allah is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful in this life. And He is Ar-Rahim, in other words, in the afterlife, with a bit more mercy, much more mercy. Some say Rahman ay bin nas jami'an, muslimihim wa kafirihim. Rahim ay bil mu'mineen. Allah Azza wa Jalla is Ar-Rahman for everyone, all of His created beings, all of the human beings. Those who are Muslim and those who aren't. Those who are wicked. Those who are munafiqun and fujjar. And He's Rahim for the believers, the Muslims specifically. Some say Rahman ay Rahma tata'allaq bil-that. Wa Rahim Rahma tata'allaq bil-sifa wal-fi'l wal-irada. Is that Allah Azza wa Jalla Himself is Rahman. He was always Rahman. He will always be Rahman. And that is a attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was always there and will always be there during all times, all places, and in all situations. And Rahim is a rahmah, a mercy that pertains to a specific time, a specific place. In other words, Allah's actions. Allah is always merciful. And you get into a car accident, and the steering wheel or the airbag or the other car just missed you, just scratched the side of your face. You could have broken your nose, could have broken your neck, you could have flew through the window, but you just missed it. And that was a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah allowing you to get into a car accident and decreeing you to get in a car accident, He's still Rahman. He's still merciful. And there is no time in which He was never ever merciful with you. But the fact that it should have been worse than what it actually was, that was a special type or specific type of rahmah. Everyone understand this? These are some of the different interpretations of the ulama of Islam with regards to these two names. With regards to these two names of Allah, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And it's very important and it's very practical knowledge because we say this on a daily basis. Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. When you make the salah. Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Before you enter the house, if you wish to say that, etc. So what does it actually mean? Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. With that being said, brothers and sisters in Islam, the topic for tonight's discussion is supposed to be on the heirs of the prophets, warathatul anbiya, those men and those women who, as if they're related to the prophets, as if they're relatives of the prophets and the messengers, even though the prophets and the messengers they lived many years ago. And the closest of them, the latest of them, the last of them, is no less than 1400 years. That's a very long time. If I asked you, Akhi, right there, to tell me one of your ancestors, one of your family members 1400 years ago, how many could you mention? Could you mention any? A name? If I asked you, tell me some of your forefathers of 1400 years, a very long time ago, right? 100 years ago is a long time ago. 200 years ago is a very long time ago. 500 years, 1,000 years, 1400 years ago, that's a very long time ago. If you to have a direct connection and quote unquote blood relation with someone. Also, where is the money after 1400 years? What happens to gold? What happens to silver? What happens to a golden goblet? Or what happens to rubies and pearls and diamonds? What happens to coins after 1400 years? Where are the coins? Where is the chest? Is it on land? Was it in the sea? Is it under the ground? How is the wealth preserved for such a very long time for you to even have the ability to inherit it? Everyone understand what we're saying here? You go to a museum, a coin that's 100 years old is rare, it's valuable. 200 years old is from this dynasty, from this period, from this age, from this era, this teacup of this princess, this crown of this king, this sword of this great warrior. 300 years ago, it's old and it's still in very good shape, mint shape. Rather, the hand of the teacup is broken off and it's chipped and it's still extremely costly and expensive. And that's nothing more than 100, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. So we talking about money, wealth, inheritance, legacy, and estate that has survived over 1,000 years. And you yourself know who your heir is, or you know who the relative is, quote unquote, metaphorically speaking. That's serious. You have to be a serious person. And that person who left behind that wealth has to be a serious person. And the wealth, the exchange, the legacy, the estate, also, last but not least, has to be extremely serious. So that is the topic of our discussion. The heirs of the prophets, the men and the women whom Allah Azza wa Jalla have chosen and blessed to be of those as if they have some type of relationship with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah, in the beginning of his book Al-Kifaya fi usuli fi ma'rifati usul al-riwaya, he mentioned some of the virtues of studying and seeking knowledge. And he mentioned some of the excellent points of seeking the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he mentioned from them, he said, from the fada'il of ashab al-hadith is that your name, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, will be in the same sentence or the same page as the name of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, meaning the isnad, the ijaza. Muhammad, Abu Hurairah, fulan, 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 fulan. What's your name? Abu Bakr. And then your name is in the same sentence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That means a lot. And obviously Abu Bakr al-Khatib rahimahullah, he died in the 5th century. So in his time, perhaps it was possible for someone to have their name in the same sentence or at least paragraph of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1400 years later, it's a bit longer, but it's at least on the same piece of paper. Like when you get an ijaza for the hadith, or you get an ijaza for Bukhari, or you get an ijaza for a mud or a sa', right? You get a tin cup. This was the mud of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone understand what I'm talking about? And no matter how many names are on that piece of paper, at the end of the paper is what? Your name. That is a great deal of honor. For your name to be read and mentioned and brought up in the same line of the greatest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's slaves and servants, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So inheriting from someone, a legacy being there, an estate, wealth being passed down, handed down, that's a very serious issue. And the heirs of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, they have to be very serious people. And if you want to be one of them, one of those chosen and fortunate men and women, what should you do? What should you do? So with this being said, brothers and sisters, I would like to share a brief story with you about how the early Muslims looked at those who had knowledge and how they looked at those who didn't have knowledge. There's a narration which is mentioned that it was a governor one day, a leader, a wali, regardless whether he was the Khalifa or not. Al-Muhim is that he had status and authority. And some of them said that he was from Bani Umayyah, from the Umayyad dynasty. So he was powerful, he was rich, and he was influential. So they say that this leader had a fondness and a great liking of the game which is called ash-shitranj, chess. He loved to play chess. And we all know what the ulama of Islam say about chess, how many of them if not most of them, say that it's haram to play chess. And some of them say that it's halal to play chess. And some of them may say it's makruh to play chess. And they have different reasons why it is or isn't haram to play chess. Playing with idols, wasting time, gambling, not making salah, a cross, etc. What's important is that he loved chess. So he sat down with one of his deputies, one of his courtiers, the members in his inner circle entourage, and he says, come on, let's play chess. Let's enjoy our favorite pastime. So they sat down and they start playing chess. And the person from the entourage of the courtier, he said, wait a second, there's a guard at the door. He's looking at us. We can't play chess in front of him. Because some of the ulama, they've said that you can play chess, but you don't do it in public. Or maybe they consider it haram, and they didn't want the guard to know that they were doing something which is haram. So the leader, he said to his friend, he says, wait a second, don't be so hasty. Don't rush. Let's see. Maybe we can enjoy our game. So he said, come here. He told the guard to come closer. Come inside. So the guard came. So he asked the guard. He said, Ish tahfaz min kitabillahi ta'ala. He says, how much of the Quran do you know? So the guy, he mentioned a very mediocre amount. Kada wa kada. He said, okay, no problem. Ish tahfaz min hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How many hadiths do you memorize? The guy gave a very trifling amount. He says, okay, type, no problem. Ish tahfaz min ayyam al-Arab. What do you know about the history of the Arabs, their battles, their genealogy? Kada. What do you know about poetry? What do you know about kada? And he kept answering little to nothing. So the man, he then turned around and he smiled and he said to the leader, he said, Il'ab. The leader said to his friend, he said, Il'ab. Falaysa ma'ana ahad. He says, don't worry. Nobody's in the room with us. Don't worry. Play chess because there's no one here but me and you. In other words, because the man was so ignorant and he didn't have knowledge, he considered him to be what? Nothing. Nobody. Who cares if he sees us doing this? He's no one for the sheer fact that he doesn't have what? Ilm. He didn't ask him about his authority, his lineage, his ancestry, how strong he was, No, that doesn't even matter. If he doesn't have knowledge, as if he's what? Void, as if he's absent. So just stop and ponder on that really quick. So with this being said, seeking knowledge, being a scholar, being a student of knowledge is a great thing. But does it mean that anyone and everyone is an heir of the Prophet? Does it mean just because I go overseas to Medina, I'm now from the heirs of the Prophet? Does it mean just because a person is a scholar and alim, they receive all of these virtues from the Kitab and from the Sunnah? إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس وما يعقلها إلا العالمون يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات وعلم آدم أسماء. Do these ayahs pertain to anyone and everybody who has knowledge, factual information? You memorize, you graduate, you get an ijazah, you're old, you have knowledge for many years? Or are the heirs of the Prophet ﷺ a specific class of people, an elite group of people that not only have knowledge, not only have information, but they also have other things as well. They also have other characteristics and other traits as well. Let's see what Al-Hafiz Abu Bakr Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala says regarding this issue. We all know Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah was from the 4th century. He said, لهذا العالم صفات وأحوال شتى ومقامات لا بد له من استعمالها فهو مستعمل في كل حال ما يجب عليه فله صفة في طلبه العلم كيف يطلبه وله صفة في كثرة العلم إذا كثر عنده ما الذي يجب عليه فيه فيلزمه نفسه وله صفة إذا جالس العلماء كيف يجالسهم وله صفة إذا تعلم من العلماء كيف يتعلم وله صفة كيف يعلم غيره وله صفة إذا ناظر في العلم كيف يناظر وله صفة إذا أفتى الناس كيف يفتي وله صفة كيف يجالس الأمراء إذا ابتلي بمجالستهم ومن يستحق أن يجالسه ومن لا يستحق وله صفة كيف يعبد الله عز وجل فيما بينه وبينه قد أعد لكل حق يلزمه ما يقويه على القيام به وقد أعد لكل نازلة ما يسلم به من شرها في دينه عالم بما يجتنب به الطاعات عالم بما يدفع به البليات قد اعتقد الأخلاق السنية واعتزل الأخلاق الدنية. انتهى كلامه رحمه الله. Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah, listen carefully to what he says. Who is a scholar, who is a student of knowledge, who is from the heirs of the prophets and the messengers, who shares this bloodline, who is a relative of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Is it just information? Is it just studying? Is it just being known and being seen? It is a specific code of dress, a specific piece of headwear you put on your head. Is it a special type of abaya that you wear, a special type of gloves that you wear, a special length of your niqab, and you're automatically from the heirs of the prophets, like many of us say, and like many of us think, and like many of us feel, and how many of us behave mistakenly. Abu Bakr Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, لهذا العالم صفات وأحوال شتى. He says this alim, regardless whether you translate it to mean scholar, student of knowledge, someone who's learned, al-muhim mushtaghil bil-ilm, he who busies himself with knowledge, muntasib ila al-ilmi wa ahlihi, he who attributes himself to knowledge and his people. He says ahwalun, sifatun. He says he has many characteristics, many states, many circumstances, many scenarios, many different colors and shades. Sifatun wa ahwalun wa maqamat. There are different things that you have to do, different things that you have to say, different things that you cannot do, and different things that you cannot say. There are different hats that you must wear if you're considered to be this type of alim. And that's why he called his book Akhlaqul Ulama, the character of the ulama, the character of the learned men and learned women, the character of the people of knowledge, those who attribute themselves to knowledge. So already we benefit from this golden speech, is that it's not about just memorizing. It's not about just going to Medina and that's it. It's not about who you know and where you go. It's not about talking. It's not about what you say. But it's much deeper than that. For you to be a relative of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, warathatul anbiya. Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, La budda lahu min isti'maliha. He says, and he must adhere to them. It's not a choice. Brothers, they go overseas, they graduate from Medina, and they says, well, I'm not a role model. I know a brother who said this, a graduate. He says, I'm not a role model. He says, I never was a role model, and I never wanted to be a role model. So please don't ask me any questions. Please don't ask me for advice. I can't help you. I'm not perfect. I'm working on myself. Or those of us who say, I'm going to go to Saudi, I'm going to benefit, I'm going to learn, I'm going to study, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to be there for 6, 7, 8 years, and then afterwards I'm going to remain there. I'm going to make hijrah. I'm going to teach English. I'm not going back to America. I'm not coming back to the UK. That's not me. I'm no sheikh. I'm no scholar. Don't ask me no questions. I don't want to be one. Al-Haa'juri, he says, La budda min isti'maliha. He has to adhere to this etiquette and to these manners. And from that etiquette and from that manner, or those manners are spreading knowledge, paying zakat on knowledge, saving your people, etc. So it isn't an option. And just like a star, a superstar, an athlete, a musician, a supermodel, people accept fame. They accept wealth. They accept the respect and the status and the hero worship that comes with being a star and a celebrity. You don't complain about the money. You don't complain about the fame. You don't complain about the fortune. But signing an autograph or taking a picture with someone or giving time to your fans, many of them, they complain. They says, I'm not a role model. I don't want to sign no autographs. I'm not a good guy. This is how I look. This is what I drink. These are the tattoos that I have. I'm not here to play basketball to be someone's role model. That basketball player cannot say that. You don't have an option. The moment that you took those millions and millions and millions of dollars and you're on the cereal box or a commercial or the video game or on the sneakers, people are getting killed and shot for your shoes. Do you understand this? There are people that are getting shot just to take your shoes. You don't have an option to be a role model because you don't complain about people giving you millions and millions of dollars. So you cannot complain about the responsibilities and about the etiquette that you must adhere to. And the same applies to knowledge of the deen. How many brothers complain about the virtue of being in Saudi? How many people complain about that? You ever hear someone complain about the comfortable life in Saudi? Sitting with the ulama in Saudi? Benefiting from the college of Hadith? No one complains about it. But they say, I don't want to go back home. I don't want to teach. That's not me. What's this? You can't take something and then abandon the rest of the things. You signed a contract Saudi Arabia, they gave you that money not for you to live comfortable and save yourself and your family from the fire. La. No. They gave you that money. They taught you. They gave you that scholarship for you to la Buddha minister, to use that etiquette and to adhere to those manners. Al-Ajuri, he says, فَهُوَ مُسْتَعْمِلٌ فِي كُلِّ حَالٍ يَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ. He says he has a dress code for all 4 seasons. It's raining outside, it's snowing outside, it's hot outside, it's sunny outside. He has clothes to wear. You have to use this etiquette for everything that you do, what you must do. Everyone understand this? How to behave with yourself. There's an etiquette that you have to stick to. How to behave with others. There's an etiquette that you have to stick to. What is your relationship like with Allah? You don't have an option or a choice. You have to behave in this manner if you wish to receive this title of alim. And who doesn't like to be called a scholar? Who doesn't like to be called knowledgeable and learned? It's natural to feel that way. And that's why, going back to the game that we just mentioned, chess, one of the worst ways of losing and being defeated is playing chess. You don't mind getting beat at basketball. You don't mind getting beat up in a boxing match. You don't mind getting outscored, outran in a race. But no one wants to lose a chess game. Because a chess game means one thing and one thing only, and that's what? I'm smarter than you. You lack intelligence. You can be stronger than me, I'll accept that. You can be faster than me, I accept that. But no one wants to be called stupid. No one wants to be called dumb. That's not a good thing. So people, they like this. He who says that it doesn't feel good to be a student of knowledge, it doesn't feel good to be in front of the people, that person is not telling the truth. Human nature, as the Prophet said, La hasada illa fitnatain. There's no jealousy except for 2 characteristics. But it isn't a choice. If you want to be from the heirs of the Prophet, you have to listen to what he's saying here. And you have to stick to that etiquette. You have to obey those rules, follow those rules. Al-Ajuri rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, فَلَهُ صِفَةٌ فِي طَلَبِهِ الْعِلْمِ كَيْفَ يَطْلُبُهُ. As far as him seeking knowledge, then there is a sifa, a description. There are do's and there are don'ts. You can't seek knowledge how you want to seek knowledge. You can't seek knowledge when it's convenient for you. If you sign a contract of seeking ilm, you have to obey the rules of seeking ilm. He then says, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ فِي كَثْرَةِ الْعِلْمِ إِذَا كَثُرَ عِنْدَهُ. Listen carefully to this. And there's also an etiquette, there are manners when you have an abundance of knowledge. And this is very important for us in the Western countries. It's to understand that someone who's a beginner is not like someone who's an expert. Someone who's been studying for 20 years is not like someone who's been studying for 2 years. They are not to behave in the same manner. The muqallid is not to behave like someone who has the ability to make ijtihad. And the mujtahid is not allowed to make taqleed if he has the ability to think and to break it down himself. So when you get a lot of knowledge, how do you behave? It's your first year of Medina. Anybody can come up to you and ask you a question. You go to a masjid, you do anything, you're a nice, humble person. But now it's your last year in Medina. I don't have no time. I'm sorry, I can't. No, I don't have the ability. You have more knowledge now. So it's easier to contact when you're simple and basic. But now you have a lot of knowledge, you act and you behave differently. Al-Ajuri says you can't do that. And at the same time, you can't humiliate yourself and disgrace yourself when you have a lot of knowledge, acting like you only have a little bit of knowledge. You can't do that. Rather, there is a sifa. There's a description and a characteristic that you have to do. وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ إِذَا جَالَسَ الْعُلَمَاءِ كَيْفَ يُجَالِسُهُمْ. And there's also a description, an etiquette, when you sit with the ulama. How to sit with them, who to sit with, and who not to sit with. This class, no one differs on the status of the sheikh, but the class is inappropriate for you. It's above your head, way beyond your head. You should sit here with a lesser scholar or a lesser teacher and actually learn how to speak and read Arabic. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah, he mentions on Al-Muqidha, pertaining to the etiquette of the master of hadith, he says it's haram. He cannot cheat the students of hadith. And if there's something that they're seeking or learning that's way above their heads, he has to tell them and not give them the hadiths. And he uses as the dalil ad-dinu nasiha. The religion is nothing more than pure advice. I would love for you to study with me, but not right now. You need to study here, you need to study there. How to sit with them. What's the correct manner? What's the proper respect? And the list goes on. Al-Ajuri, he says, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ إِذَا تَعَلَّمَ. And he has a way of learning from the ulama, not just sitting with them. And this goes to show us, brothers and sisters, is that somebody may sit with the ulama, but it does not necessitate that he's learnt from the ulama. Everyone understand this? You were there, no doubt. You sat there, you were in Medina, but it doesn't mean that you learnt from them. Not the character of the sheikh, the behavior of the sheikh, let alone his ilm, let alone to be from his top students. Just because you sat in a crowd does not mean that you learnt from the class. That's what Al-Juri said. He mentioned two things. He says, yujalis, and he says, ta'allama. Everyone understand the difference between the two? You could be sitting there, but it doesn't mean you're actually learning. And you could be learning without actually sitting there. How much knowledge have you benefited from Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen here in Brixton? How many fiqh rulings did you come across from Ibn Uthaymeen? Day and night. How many of you met Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen? Maybe a few, a couple of the older brothers, the mashayikh that were overseas before we went overseas. But how many of us actually met Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen? But how many of us have learned from him? Everyone understand the difference? And if you can sit and learn, then of course that's what? That's the best thing to do. Al-Ajuri rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ كَيْفَ يُعَلِّمُ غَيْرَهُ. And there is an etiquette, there's a manner, there's a way of doing things when he is a teacher. You're no longer a student, you're now a teacher. How are you to treat your students? How are you to behave with your students? What are you to teach them? How are you to feed them? There's an etiquette of eating, and there's also an etiquette of what? Of feeding. They aren't the same. You have to know how to give knowledge and how to pass on knowledge and how not to. وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ إِذَا نَاظَرَ فِي الْعِلْمِ كَيْفَ يُنَاظِرُ. And there's also an etiquette when you have to debate. It's time to debate. Debating is haram. We don't debate. It's not what Al-Juri said. When it's time to actually make a debate. In other words, don't be a coward. And don't blame your cowardice on we don't debate. That's not true. That's not true in the Quran. That's not true in the Sunnah. And that's not true in all of the speech of the ulama of the Salaf as-Salih. Sometimes you have to debate. And when it's time to debate, what do you do? What's the etiquette of debating? For me to prove that I'm better than you? For me to prove that I have a louder voice than you? Or for me to actually want to get to a resolution, a conclusion? What to say and what not to say? Who to debate with and who not to debate with? There are rules. And the alim, the learned person, he has to obey those rules. Al-Ajuri rahimahullah, he says, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ إِذَا أَفْتَى النَّاسَ كَيْفَ يُفْتِي. And there's an etiquette and there's manners, there are rules when he has to give fatwa. Somebody says, oh, you can't give a fatwa. You can't answer a question. We hear this all the time. He's not a real mufti. Everyone understand this? You have to be this or that. So Al-Ajuri, he didn't what? He didn't say that. He says, yuftin nas, to give a fatwa to the people, passing on information from Allah and His Messenger. Ibn Qayyim, he wrote a book, I'lam al-Muwaqqi'in an Rabbil Alameen. I'lam, the notice to those who sign off on behalf of Allah. When you give a fatwa, halal, haram, sunnah, bid'ah, tawheed, shirk, you are signing the paper saying this is what Allah said. And that's serious. And that's dangerous and it's not a joke. Al-Ajuri, he says, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ كَيْفَ يُجَالِسُ الْأُمَرَاءَ إِذَا ابْتُلِيَ بِمُجَالَسَتِهِمْ. And there's also an etiquette of sitting with the rulers, the leaders, إِذَا ابْتُلِيَ, when he's put through the affliction of sitting with them. People, they say today, it's nothing wrong, it's okay. Al-Ajuri, he says, إِذَا ابْتُلِيَ, is a fitna in which he has no choice but to sit with the rulers. How to sit with them, what to say and what not to say. Do you suck up? Do you kiss up? Do you change the deen of Allah to appease them and to please them? Or do you speak the truth? Do you say, I won't cooperate with them upon birr and taqwa? I won't obey them? Sam'u ta'a bil ma'ruf? What do you do? There's a way, there are rules. And the learned person, he has to stick to those rules. Al-Ajuri, he says, وَلَهُ وَمَنْ يَسْتَحِقُ أَنْ يُجَالِسَ وَمَنْ لَا يَسْتَحِقُ. And those who you should sit with, and those who you should sit with not. Those who are undeserving of your time. They say they want to study with you, but they're undeserving of your precious time. Who should you take as your friend? Who should you be with? Who should you accompany? Who should you debate with? Who should you study with? Who should you learn from? What masjid should you go to, etc.? There are what? There are rules, and it isn't haphazard. There's an etiquette that you have to stick to and obey. He says here, وَلَهُ صِفَةٌ كَيْفَ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهُ. And there's also an etiquette. There's also a description. There are also manners about your personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're worshiping Allah, you and Allah. You're away from the people, behind closed doors. What do you do before you go to sleep? What do you say when you wake up? What supplications do you make? What do you do if you have a bad dream? What if you have a good dream? What is your personal attachment to Allah? Do you really fear Allah and only Allah? Or do you fear men? Do you hope for Allah and only for Allah? Or do you hope for human beings? What level of ikhlas do you have? How sincere are you? Are you prejudiced with regards to people that you see? A man is one ruling, a woman is a different ruling. If you're from here, what is your ikhlas like? What is your heart like with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says there's an etiquette. قَدْ أَعَدَّ لِكُلِّ حَقٍ يَلْزَمُهُ مَا يُقَوِّهِ عَلَى الْقِيَامِ بِهِ. He says every situation in life that you have to go through, the learned person has a ready-made answer. He has a plan, he has a strategy for whatever he has to do. How does the student of knowledge behave with his wife and children? He learns and he does it. How to obey the rulers and listen to the rulers. How not to obey and listen to the rulers. What do you do with your neighbors, non-Muslims, students, people who are above you, older than you, etc. There is a way for you to become an alim, and there's a way that you have to behave once you've become an alim. And for you to be from the heirs of the Prophet, it is not just sheer lip service. It's not about just talking and dressing. It's not about that. It's deeper than that. These are the true warathatul anbiya right here. Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, in any modern day issue, likulli nazilatin, something which is a new issue, in which there isn't a specific dalil for, or some scholars maybe they didn't talk about it, and you yourself have to make ijtihad. You yourself have to think your way out of it. You yourself have to give advice. How do you successfully answer the question and not get snagged and caught up in the snare of a fitna? Everyone understand this? Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, alimun bima yajtaribu bihi ta'at. He knows how to bring about good, how to obey Allah, how to do the right thing. Alimun bima yadfa'u bihi baliyat. Not only is he good offensively, but he's also good defensively. He's good offensively and defensively. He knows how to take steps, and he knows how to retreat and how to back up, how to avoid and how to bring and pull. Everyone understand this? Where is the good and how to get it? Where is the bad and how to sidestep it? How to step out of the way of the shar, of evil. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, last but not least, قَدْ اعْتَقَدَ الْأَخْلَاقَ السُّنِيَّةَ أو السُّنِيَّةَ. He says his character is impeccable. Impeccable character. Not good character, okay character, impeccable character. There's no one who's ever going to say he's a liar. There's no one that's going to ever accuse him of thievery. He's a thief. He stole from this masjid. He was the imam of the masjid and he was stealing money. He was a womanizer. He beat up his wife. He abused his children. He lies. He plays games. He manipulates people. The people would never ever accuse him of this, let alone accurately landing an arrow on him. We have caught him in a lie. It's proven that he's a liar. It's proven that he's a womanizer. Look what he did to this woman. He married her, he divorced her, he beat her up, he took her money, and he left her with thousands and thousands of dollars of bills. It's proven. That's not the etiquette of the student of knowledge. That's not the etiquette of the scholar. Someone who abuses people and manipulates people and turns people against each other. Before I came to your masjid, everybody was good with each other. Had pure, clean hearts. We loved each other. There was brotherhood. The moment that I visited the UK, I visited Brixton Masjid and I left, now everyone's against each other. I use you against each other. You're now cursing and slandering each other. And then you call me, Sheikh Mufti Muhammad Muneer, we have problems in Brixton Masjid. Please don't call my phone again. I have nothing to do with you. Don't call my phone again. That's your problem. You're in the UK. You fix it. You worry about it. That isn't the character of the true scholar of Islam. Al-Haa'juri rahimahullah ta'ala then says, وَاعْتَزَلَ الْأَخْلَاقَ الدِّنِيَّةِ. And he avoids, he stays away from, and he withdraws himself from things which are mean and base. Lowly affairs. This is a problem that we suffer from. Oftentimes we think in a low manner. Our aspirations are low. Our character is low. Our goals are low. Our dreams are low, if not non-existent. And we have bad character, and then we say we're people of knowledge. I'm from the ulama. I'm from the students of knowledge. I'm this and I'm that. Or you say it about me, and you in your heart know that I'm a mean and unbased person. But you accompany me for one worldly reason or another. So first and foremost, brothers, before we talk about students of knowledge, disciples and disciples, ulama, fuqaha, qudat, muftun, these people have this high status, who are supposed to be the heirs of the prophets. Know for sure is that the true heir of the prophet is the one who falls under that description. Al-ulama al-amilin. And that is why when you graduate from the Islamic University of Madinah and you get a degree, that which is on your degree is something which is very, 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 very deep, Abdul Qawi, very deep. Do you know what they put on your degree? Not only do they put your name and your GPA and what year you graduated from and what college you graduated from and what country you belong to, etc. They put a dua on your certificate. They put a dua on your certificate. Think about this now. What non-Muslim country puts dua on your certificate? They may say good luck, right? Best of wishes, best of luck, right? But in Medina, they pray to Allah on your certificate. Even though you're done with them. They don't need you. They didn't need you from day one. But they make dua for you. You know what they say on your certificate? The certificate says, Fulan ibn Fulan, what's your name? He graduated from this college, his GPA, da-da-da-da-da. He says, وَنَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ أَنْ يَسْلُكَ بِهِ سَبِيلَ الْعُلَمَاءِ الْعَامِلِينَ. He says, we ask Allah to place him on the path of the learned scholars who act upon their knowledge. And that is the last piece of advice that they give you. You don't need us anymore. Khalas, anta al-an Sheikh Britannia. They'll tell you this. You're the Sheikh of the UK. You're the Sheikh of your country. They'll tell you this. They'll say this to you. Wallahi. The teachers, they'll tell you this. They say, listen, don't ask us no more questions. You've taken what you could take from us. Go. You're now the Sheikh of your country, so on and so forth. But the last piece of advice that the university gives you is for you to be from the true ulama. And the degree in itself is not the only thing that they give to you or say to you. The degree is enough. Of course I'm from the ulama. I have a degree. Of course I'm from the students of knowledge. I graduated. I have a degree. La. That's not the attitude that they want you to have. Instead, they want you to have the attitude that to be and to be worthy of this tremendous status that you have received is that you act upon your knowledge, you obey what you're supposed to obey, you avoid what you're supposed to avoid until the end. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, with that foundation being laid down, now bi'idhnillah, let's read inshallah ta'ala the hadith of Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu. Let's read this hadith and let's break it down with the time that we have left with regards to what we benefit from this hadith. Who can read this hadith for me? From their head, from memory. Who's memorized this hadith? Anybody here in Brixton Mosque? Anybody memorize the hadith? وَإِنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ وَإِنَّ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ لَمْ يُوَرِثُوا دِينَارًا وَلَا دِرْهَمًا وَإِنَّمَا وَرَثُوا الْعِلْمَ فَمَنْ أَخَذَهُ أَخَذَ بِحَظٍ وَافِرٍ. Who memorized this hadith? Name, just raise one hand, please. One hand, brothers. One hand. No one memorized this hadith? No one memorized it. Nobody else? Anybody else? Tell you, where can this hadith be found? Quickly, what book can I find this hadith in? Sunan Abi Dawood. Good. Ayu Kitab? What book? Kitab al-Ilm. Very good. So read Sunan Abi Dawood right now for me, please. Your phone. You don't have the actual book with you? كيف هذا? In the College of Hadith, I had a teacher who's well known, but I'm not going to mention his name for one reason or another. He's a teacher. He taught us one of the 6 books of Hadith. And not only did he give the students the grade based off of their participation or their tests or their exams, but wallahi, when he first came to the classroom, he says every student the next day has to bring the book. Kitab, kada, kada, kada. I won't mention the name of the book. He says, bring the book. So the first day, some brought, second day, some people brought it. Next day, he says, bring the book. You need your book. I don't want you to read it from a tablet. I don't want you to read the mudhakkira, the copied, scanned notes. Bring your kitab. And after that, he would call on people who brought their book. They raised their hands and he write down their names. And those who didn't bring their books, he docked their what? Their grades. He took points from them just by not bringing the book. Alhamdulillah, I was fortunate enough to have brought the book the first day. I raised my hand. Well, alhamdulillah. Okay? But the point is that as a talib al-ilm, If you're going to a lecture or a class and you know that it's going to be on a specific topic, it is your job and your duty to do what? Bring the book. Bring your pens, clearness, and not necessarily your phone. Even though your phone has a PDF reader or ebook reader, but if you're reading a book on your phone, somebody may call you, or you may get a notification, or an email. You cut it on airplane mode, but I'm kind of bored. Let me play this game really quick, this video game. Or let me look at these pictures, or whatever. It's a distraction. It's a what? It's a distraction. And oftentimes, you don't necessarily want to be on a train or the bus looking at a phone, because everybody else on the train or the bus is doing what? Looking at a phone. Clearness? If you don't have the book, or you don't want to bring the book, or it's raining outside, then why can't you bring a tablet? Now, if you ask me to read any hadith, I have them all here. Look, all of them. What do you want to read? Musnad Ahmed, Muwatta Malik. You know what Sheikh Albani said about hadith? Hafiz Ibn Hajar said about hadith? I have it right there. So that's how you have to be. As I told the brother yesterday who's going to, he says he's going to Egypt, right? He says, what last piece of advice can you give me? I said, always have reading material with you. I said, where's your book at? He started patting himself down. He says, I have my phone. And I told him that the phone is what? It's not good enough. It's not what? The phone is the last thing. When you're somewhere and you have to hold a bag, or it's raining or whatever. Everyone understand this? It's dark. But always have a kitab with you, O student of knowledge. Everyone understand this? Always have a what? And never be caught without a piece of reading literature. Huh? So who has the book here? Sunan Abi Dawud. Because we only have one person who's memorized the hadith. Anyone can at least read the hadith? Anybody? You have, what book do you have with you? You have Sunan Abi Dawud? You can read it. Where's the hadith at? Where's the hadith? If you can't, where do you want to read it on? You gotta have your book. So, ya akhi, Kitab al-Ilm. Where can I find this in Sunan Abi Dawud? Where? What book is Kitab al-Ilm? Is it in the beginning of Sunan, the end, the middle? You need to what? You need to know. What did the poet say? وَلَمْ أَرَ عَيْبًا. He says, I've never seen a fault or a flaw كَعَيْبِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلَى التَّمَامِ أو كَنَقْصِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلى التَّمَامِ. He says, the worst fault that I've seen is the fault of those who can be perfect. It's not a problem if you don't know or you don't have. But the problem is that you can know and you can have. So if you respect yourself, you need to know where Sunan or Kitab al-Ilm is. Everyone understand this? Tight. Fadl Noor, Nawarakallah. Allah. Iqra lana al-hadith. طيب. That's it. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri or Abu Darda? Which one? Abu Darda. كبر كبر يلا. عليه الصلاة والسلام. أخذه حظ. طيب جزاك الله خيرا. Is that the complete version of the hadith? What's the complete version? Where does the hadith start? Anybody know? Where does the hadith start at, guys? Nobody knows? فضل يا أخي. From Medina to Damascus. The only reason you came was for ilm? Tayyib, continue. And then said, can you narrate the hadith to me? Narrated the hadith, and then he just... And what's the beginning of the hadith? Huh? Man salaka tariqan. Tayyib. That's it. What else? Nothing else, guys? Tayyib. So we have two participants here. The first is what is called, what he mentioned that there was a man who traveled from one country to another, right? In search of what? Ilm. To hear Darda and to listen to Abu Darda, right? And then when Abu Darda discovered that's the only reason why he came, he did what? He told him the hadith. What is this called in the sciences of hadith? And this is what we want to start with tonight. What is this called? Fadl. Sababul Burud. Big red X. No. It's not the Sababul Burud. Try again. Try again. We explained this, right, Nafis? We explained this in the UK. We explained this the other day. Try again. Keep thinking. What's this called, Ikhwan? La, it's not the Isnad. It's called something else. We explained this. We mentioned this. You guys owe me. Right, Noor? You do what, Abdul Qawi? They what? They owe me a lot. I've given you much, much, much wealth. Now give me a little bit back. That's not it. Abu Sa'id, do they owe me or not? All you youngsters, you owe. Pay zakah. We said that there are two things. Pay attention. هناك شيء اسمه سبب الورود. وهناك شيء اسمه سبب التحديث. سبب الورود is the reason why the Nabi al-Kareem said what he said. من سن في الإسلام سنة حسنة. He who makes a good sunnah in Islam. There was a reason why the Prophet said that. There's no such thing as bid'ah hasana. That's not what's meant by the hadith. There were people that were poor in the masjid. They very, very shabby, very poor condition. And the Prophet became upset. And then he encouraged the companions to give sadaqah, to spend, to make wealth, and to help out their less fortunate brothers. And then when there was a huge heap of goods, he said, Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasana. He who makes a good practice of Islam will receive its reward and the reward of all of those who do it. In other words, when you are the first person to do it, and everyone copycats you, you get a reward. That's called sababul wurud. That's the reason why the Prophet said his words. As far as sababul tahdith, then that is the reason why the Sahabi passed on the hadith to the Tabi'i. Did we not explain this, Nafis? Everyone understand? Fahmt al-farq? You got the difference? Sababul tahdith is me. Look at me. Put down the pen. Put down the pen. Me and you were sitting around, right? And I tell you a story of my teacher in Islamic University of Madinah. Because you didn't have the book. That is the reason why I told you the story. The reason why the sheikh took grades away from the people is sababul wurud. That's why he did what he did. But you don't get the hadith from the Prophet. You're not a Sahabi, you're Tabi'i. I'm the Sahabi. You've come to me, you don't have something, and then I criticize you with the hadith. And that is called sababul at-tahdith. The reason why the Sahabi passes on the hadith. Everyone understand these benefits here? And we explained this the other day. Everybody got this or not? So that's what happened with Abu Darda. That's not sababul wurud. That's sababul tahdith. Al-Muhim, this is where we're going to stop, inshallah ta'ala. I believe that the message is crystal clear with regards to the virtue of being from the heirs of the prophets, and with regards to the heavy responsibility that lies upon the shoulders of those who have been given knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, this is our last lecture, our last class on this trip or this tour. And wallahi, it's been amazing, alhamdulillah. Meeting the brothers, traveling with the brothers, going to the masjids, masjid after masjid, masjids being packed, seeing the faces, helping out, trying to give what little knowledge we can to the people. Well, alhamdulillah, my friends, my brothers have taken great care of me. Walillahi alhamd. And we thank all of the brothers and the sisters involved with this operation. We thank those who invited us directly, those who invited us indirectly. We thank those who spent their wealth, their time, their effort, and their energy and making sure that we were comfortable and making sure that we could fulfill our mission. Brother Nuruddin went through a lot of sacrifice to bring us here, which you don't know. A lot of headache, a lot of stress just to get us to come here. All right? Brother Abu Isa, Brother Muhammad, Brother Ruban, all of the brothers from Green Lane, from Birmingham, Brother Yusuf, the brothers here in London, all of the mashayikh, the imams of the masjid, we thank all of you. And we say Jazakumullahu khairan for opening up the door for us and for having good thoughts about us and to think that you could get something from us. As far as the brothers and the sisters who attended the classes, came to the lectures, watched online, commented, good or bad, We thank you as well. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to give you better and bigger than us, and allow you to benefit from the knowledge of the Deen of Islam, and to Allah to make all of you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala from the warathatul anbiya, the heirs of the prophets. If I said anything which is good in this last week, then it's from Allah's mercy. And if I said something which was wrong or mistaken, or if I offended anyone or overstepped my boundaries or made any error, then I ask Allah to forgive me. And I ask you to pardon me therefore, because it's from my ignorant self and from the shaitan, and Allah and His Messenger have nothing to do with it. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.